This is another episode of the Blossom Podcast, your number one source for everything bariatric surgery, from pre-op to post-op. Registered dietitian Alex Conception gives you real, raw tips and motivation through your journey. This is the Blossom Podcast.
All right, guys, welcome back to the Blossom Podcast. We have a very, very special episode today. First time ever we are doing this video, so you can check it out on YouTube as well. And we have a couple guests. First things first, introducing, once again, the better voice of the Blossom Podcast, Catherine Kyle. What's up?
Yay, here we are again. Happy to be here today. It's been a while.
It has been a while. So we do have two guests today. Would you like to introduce them?
I would. My pleasure. Okay, so to my right, I have Vanessa.
Hello.
She is one of our trusted advisors and amazing post-op patient. I can't wait to talk to her a little bit. And then we have Nick, who has done, 14 different roles here at Blossom. No,
what's up, guys?
Like 5. But Nick is also a past patient. He is currently our client care supervisor. Check back in about a year. We'll see what his position is then.
Nick's actually my direct supervisor
Mine
right
as well.
now. So
Yeah.
my boss.
Loving that.
Yes. But, well, actually, both of them have had the surgery, and that's what you guys want to know is their experience. And the people that talk to you, of course, you want to know that we know what we're talking about. And what better than having the staff actually gone through the process firsthand.
They lived it.
They've
been
lived
through
it.
And then they talk to
Exactly.
patients or prospects all the time about what to expect. So getting
Absolutely.
that combo dual role is going to be awesome here today.
And that's what we're going to be talking about, their experience, as well as, the surgery itself, your experience in life, in work, and just some things that the audience want to know, right?
Absolutely.
So let's paint a picture for those not watching, just to get to know a little bit about you guys.
Hit us with the stats,
Yeah,
guys.
let's get the stats. Who are we starting with?
Vanessa,
Oh,
let's hear it.
nice.
Including your height for the people that can't see you.
Absolutely. So, my height is 5'10". My highest weight was 325. My starting weight it was 301. My current weight is 229, and my goal weight is 180, 200. So I've lost 96 pounds in 5 months. Surgery was 5 months ago.
Amazing.
That is wonderful. 96 pounds, so close to that 100.
So close. We're
Right.
inching our way there.
You said 5 months?
5
It's
months.
been?
Mhm.
Nick, what's yours? Your stats?
So I am 6'2". My highest weight was actually 360 pounds. When I came to surgery, I was at 320. And then shortly after COVID, I was at 185. I'm going to be 100% honest, at 6'2", 185 did not look nice on me. So I got back to the office and I was like, ooh, these scrubs are way too, just not right.
Swimming
so
in them.
I did make the decision to up myself, and I sit comfortably around 200 to 210 on a day-to-day
Nice.
basis. And I'm 2 years post-op.
I love that honesty. A little bit of regain could be part of it, and I think, like you said, you didn't feel comfortable at 185.
Right.
It's good. Awesome.
All right, so let's talk about preparing for surgery. Okay, is there anything that you struggled with, guys, in terms of your pre-op?
Yeah, take us back to that. I know yours was more recent, Nick's a couple of years ago, but where were you guys at leading up to surgery and starting with that pre-op diet? Was that a struggle, and where were you at mentally?
I think for me, I've told countless patients on the phone that if you can do pre-op diet, you can do anything, because it is the toughest part of this entire process. We are essentially, cutting everything back. You are preparing for the lifestyle. So I think pre-op's important because it's not only the physical preparation, but it also kind of helps with the mental preparation as well. The toughest part for me, as everyone here at this table could probably attest, was no caffeine for 2 weeks, let me tell you. So I was fun to work with for those 2 weeks before surgery.
But you made it. Did you cheat at all?
I did not, actually. I was very, very nervous prior to surgery, even though I had seen countless patients go through it. I was like, nope, not even the littlest bit. That 2 weeks beforehand, I did my little quote unquote food funeral, and that was it.
Do you feel like it got easier for you after a couple of days? I feel like after about a 3 or 4 day period, you know, you maybe the caffeine withdrawals are easing up a little bit, and you're like, okay, this is kind of, I hear Alex say all the time, it's like a means to an end, right?
It's like a buffer, you know, because of course you're going from you're getting a huge shock to the system. Right. From a lifetime of eating a certain way, now you're eating a very different way in a very short amount of time, so that 3-4 days for you to mentally and physically prepare, it's like, I'm dying, you know, and that's just, you know, all the bad stuff leaving your body, I guess you can say.
How was it for you, Lee?
For me, the pre-op diet was horrendous for the first 3 days, but then by the time I got to day 4, just like Nick mentioned, it did become easier. I did cheat on accident. Dr. Appel scolded me for having kimchi. If I couldn't have rice, I was like, I need to have something as a side. So that was an issue.
So he told you couldn't have kimchi?
He said no kimchi, too much sugar.
Bring him in here. Where's that?
So I guess, and I don't want anybody to feel like they can't have kimchi, especially if maybe store-bought, or there's some that you can buy added sugars. Yeah. But if I know a lot of Koreans who make them at home that don't add too much sugar into it. Home. Yeah, so it might have been without clarifying exactly what you were eating. It was more of a blanket statement for the process. But yeah, kimchi is basically the fermented cabbage. So it is what I would recommend.
Right, it's good for the gut.
Because I love the cabbage.
Yes,
it's great for good health. Probiotics abound. So.
Yes, exactly.
And
so just to clarify that, I don't want people to like freak out right now. Like, holy crap!
Kimchi is not the enemy.
Yes, exactly.
And to mention really quick about what the pre-op diet is, we don't need to go into the full details here. We got a lot of YouTube videos about exactly what it is. I believe there's a podcast too. So
so just basically it's 2 weeks to prepare yourself for surgery, and this is not a challenge. Okay, this is more for the safety of surgery to shrink your liver, and for us, it is 2 shakes and 1 meal. Okay, and that meal being basically 4 to 6 ounces of protein and non-starchy vegetables. Yeah. Okay, and that's what it is. So yes, it can be difficult, but you have as much water as you want. You can do the Gatorade Zero, Powerade Zero, Propel Zero, things like that, and then of course the non-starchy vegetables. It's pretty much unrestricted, so you can have, which is 99% water anyway. So fill up on that.
The veggies. Awesome.
That's right. Leading up to the surgery, was there anything that kind of pushed you along that decision?
Yes. I've struggled with my weight for most of my life, probably after I left high school. I was a pretty active kid. I played volleyball, I played basketball. I am a taller woman, so being active was fun, but when I injured myself playing basketball, my femur bone popped out of my hip joint.
Oh my gosh, that's
3 metal screws. Yeah, so 3 metal screws to keep my hip in place. But after I injured myself, I couldn't be as active as I wanted to be. So I turned to books and writing and reading. So a lot of my life was more so sedentary. And with that became, eating when you're bored, eating when you are, just sitting there doing nothing. All of it was mindless. And when I made the decision to have surgery, like truly made that decision, was a year before I even started working at Blossom. So I was just doing tons of research to see which procedure worked for me, which path was going to be right based on my symptoms of PCOS and me as a taller woman. I wanted to make sure this was going to be safe.
That's right. You even came here before you
I came to Blossom a year before I came to work here, looking into surgery here. So there was that. But when I finally made the decision to have surgery was in January of 2021. And I had prayed about it. I had talked to my family about it. I talked to my PCP about it. I talked to Dr. Appel. I talked to Catherine. I talked to Rosie. I talked to Nick about his experiences. I just wanted to gather all of the information I could to make sure that this was what was right for me.
Awesome. I love that. Cool. And it looks like it worked out very
It did.
well.
Great decision.
Nick, how about you? Leading up, was there a turning point or a push?
Because you worked here a little bit longer before you had surgery, where Vanessa was about a year or so, right? Mm-hmm. And then you had the surgery, and you were here for several years, correct?
Yeah. So I actually had surgery about 3 years after I started working here. I saw about 30, 40, 50, 60 patients, go through the process just of my own. And I was finally like, you know what? I think it's time. Like, I have years of yo-yo dieting and doing everything. I think since puberty I was overweight. So I was I'd go to Weight Watchers meetings with my mother. I would like do all of those things as a kid. And then in college I was relatively active. So I, was a little bit more fit when it came to the college. So honestly, polar opposite. Vanessa was more active in high school. I was more active when it came to the college life. And then, I did get a little bit more fit at that point. And then after college, life happened. And then here I was right back where I started. And I was like, all right. So after that, I kind of sat down and I was like, okay, I think it's time for me to make that, that choice to move forward with surgery here with Blossom. So
it's such a personal choice too. I mean, we have a lot of folks. I think I was counting the other day. It's like 17 of our staff members have had surgery. Some have had surgery elsewhere and then come to work for us. I mean, Stacy, who's at the front desk, one of our medical assistants, 17 years ago had the bypass. So a lot of our staff has had it, and just because you work here, it's never an expectation. We never want to push you into doing something that you're not ready for. It's on you, right? So it's like, hey, just like anybody else, even if you don't work here, you want to do your research. You want to make sure it's right for you. Talk to your support system like you did. Talk to your primary care doctor. Research till the ends of the earth, and then say, okay, this is what I want to do. This is right for me.
And to me also, I feel like it's a real testament to how well we treat patients, because if you work here and you want to stay here and do the surgery here, it's like, well, okay, you must feel safe about it too. Yeah. So I just on reflecting on that, it's like, dang, Blossom's pretty cool.
Yeah, we are.
Yeah, we are. I like it. So moving on to
the day of surgery.
Yes.
How about that? How about do you remember? Tell us about your experience the day of surgery, Nick, and what that was like. I recorded it. I think we recorded it all.
Did we?
I think we did.
We even have a picture of your stomach.
That's right.
I documented your whole day. Oh my gosh, that's amazing.
So I do have a photo of my stomach. I think I was one of the first people to be like, I need a picture of it, please, thank you. So I definitely have that, and wow, that's a photo. We'll have to add that into one of these YouTube videos.
Oh,
I guess.
we should. We will.
We'll just put it here.
I think for me, I remember almost every moment, and as weird as that is, like I remember getting pre-op. I remember crying like a baby when they put in my IV, because I'm the biggest child ever. You can ask any person at Warm Springs if you come through here if Nick was the biggest baby ever. It's 100% accurate. I remember being wheeled back to the OR at 10:48 a.m. and waking up at 11:46 a.m. Wow. Like, I remember everything from that day. So, I mean, it was kind of like a new start. So you kind of remember all that stuff when you go through it. I don't think I was as nervous, again, having been here for 3 years prior, knowing everyone at the surgical center, knowing who was doing everything with me. It kind of...
A little different level of comfort.
A little different level of comfort, for sure, from that aspect.
Pain-wise.
Yeah, when you woke up, what were you experiencing? Be honest, be real.
I am the worst example, because I felt great after surgery. I did not... my husband may have a different story, but I'm telling you right now, I felt nothing after. I felt great after surgery. I was up, I was walking around. I would say pain-wise, maybe a 4 or 5 at most ever was the worst it ever got. Nausea, on the other hand, was pretty gnarly, as far as that goes. But, again, I was able to manage that with, taking my prescriptions and kind of making sure I was on top of that. So.
Did you have a hernia repair with your sleeve?
I did.
Okay. You, Vanessa, did you have a hernia repair?
I did not have a hernia repair. There was no hernia, oddly, which I was surprised.
Gotcha.
So,
okay,
yeah.
Interesting. Tell us about your day.
My day.
And then coming out of recovery.
So the day of surgery, I was very nervous. I was contemplating if this really was what I wanted to do while I was, getting ready.
Cold feet.
Yes, cold feet was really real. And when Carl picked me up, that all kind of went away. And when we got to the surgery center, I met with Emily and talking with her. All of the medical assistants and the nurses were amazing. And when they wheeled me back, Dr. Appel tapped my shoulder and was like, I got you, don't worry, just have a nice nap, I'll see you when you come back. And then when I woke up, there really was not any pain. I myself, just like Nick, am a great patient. There was no nausea. The only pain that I felt was from the gas pain, but that was immediately gone after I had Blossomade. My incision sites didn't even hurt. I was walking every 2 hours, so I just would like take a nap and then wake up and walk and then hang out with my sisters. So it was a breeze.
How was your gas pain, Nick?
Gas pain, again, not terrible because I was able to get up, move around. I kept walking. I think managing and staying on top of what you need to do post-operatively is the most important thing to mitigate that gas pain.
And by that you mean like the walking, the pain, if you do, your Zofran or your anti-nausea and your pain meds, right?
Right, that, and also they'll show your companion how to knock on your back and help get that gas out. We had a little back massager at home, so gave me, got some of that as well. So definitely really didn't bother me too much. So, and
that's what we teach you when you come down here as well, and we tell you the gas pain is intense, okay, but the most effective way to minimize that is to just get walking, get moving. That's why we tell you to get up every hour, every 2 hours. And not only that, we have people there, you're going to get IV therapy, do IV therapy the next day, and that really helps out tremendously. So one thing that we did implement after COVID was IV at the hotel. Yeah. Right? So you guys didn't experience that.
I did.
You did,
I did.
Nick, you did not. So let's talk about that. How did you feel after IV, and how did you feel, and let's just compare.
So for me, I was able, I kind of sat down, I was taking sips of water the night before, so I was making sure I stayed hydrated the night of surgery, right? I was making sure that I was okay, again, moving around, doing everything like that. I think right before IV therapy, I was kind of like driving over here and I was like, I don't know, do I feel okay? And what's exactly going on? I think the drive here was probably the worst part of the entire thing. Like from my house to get to Blossom was probably like the time where I felt the most uncomfortable. And then after IV therapy here at the office, I was kind of like, let's go. I actually went to Target.
Yeah, amazing.
So there you go.
I hear people that are like, yeah, we walked around the Hoover Dam and on the Strip. I was like, you do that.
Yeah,
I'm so proud of you.
Yeah, it is. And of course, that walking itself, again, it just adds to that therapy, and it makes that healing process so much more efficient.
Yeah.
How was having your IV therapy at the hotel?
It felt amazing. Like, the only discomfort that I had was from the gas pain leaving the body from the anesthesia. But after Val came and she administered the IV hydration, I felt like $1,000,000. I was even like laughing with my family. I like went all the way downstairs to like walk around the gym and then come back up. So it definitely made a whole difference. I was slowly sipping water, and Gatorade Zero was my best friend right after surgery. But that Blossomade definitely made all the difference for sure.
Yeah. Nice. And to be real, like, everybody's different. Everybody's, like Nick said, everybody's pain tolerance is different.
Yes.
And if you're not having the exact experience, if you're listening to this and you're not having that experience, we're like, oh my gosh, I went and walked around Target, or I felt amazing. That's okay. And that's what's so important. I know Alex tells people this all the time. It's try not to fall into that comparison trap. Because then you're like, well, I remember Nick said he felt great, and if I'm not feeling that, something is definitely the matter. But I also do want to mention, the moment you leave that surgery center up until, you're at the hotel and you're with that Blossomade, or even the next day you're at IV therapy, or you're returning home, keep your doctor's phone number close. We give you guys the surgeon line specifically for any concerns, and please don't feel scared to use that. You have to call them directly with any concerns. 14 days post-op. And thereafter, we're definitely there for everybody.
Yeah, we're checking up on you too. We want to make sure that you are leaving confident and healthy, and you're ready to...
On the road to recovery.
On the road to recovery, of course. One of the issues, that people have, and I'd like to address, is your experience with the water intake. Okay, so for the first 2 weeks post-op, we all recommend hydration number 1 and protein number 2. Hydration being the priority. We're shooting for 64 ounces of fluid, but I do tell patients that we do have some that are hitting 100 ounces at 2 weeks, but also some that are still at 20 ounces at 2 months. But those who struggle the most are typically those who are very poor water drinkers before surgery. So you have to turn into a good water drinker. Yes. Now, in your guys' case, how was that? Where were you at 2 weeks, and during that 2 weeks, how was the progression in water?
So for me, water intake, I was a pretty good water drinker prior to surgery. I would drink a decent, maybe 6 bottles while I was at work.
Oh, perfect.
But in all honesty, I would probably only get, for that first 2 weeks, I was just at 48 ounces at 2 weeks of water. And then after that, that was when I kind of noticed that I was able to get a little bit more in after that 2 week point. I would say it was probably about a month in before I was actually comfortably getting in 64 ounces or more.
Okay, awesome.
A day. So
yeah, and that's good. That's a pretty real progression. Like I said, some people are extra diligent in wanting to get that in earlier, and if you can, that's awesome. And if your body will let you know far before there's any real damage as well, but you do have to be diligent about it. How was your experience with the water?
I, just like Nick, was a great water drinker before surgery. Probably about a gallon a day was my water intake. So after surgery, I was hitting about 48 ounces, sometimes 54, and then I didn't get to 64 ounces until right at that 3 week post-op mark. Now I'm getting about probably almost a gallon. I'm like maybe like 10 ounces shy of a gallon.
I love that.
Yeah.
That is good.
I'm just constantly like slowly sipping, and that I got from you and from Carl. Because you guys both recommended just like sip all day, every day. Always have water nearby. And
even
just
when you're not thirsty, right?
Even
It's
when you're not
almost
thirsty,
like you
just
kind
get
of
your
have
sips.
to force
Right.
yourself a little bit.
That's
Yeah.
right.
Get your sips in.
And I recommend, I use this example that 6 ounces an hour is not a requirement. It's an average. You can drink less, you can drink more, but by that perspective, you can get half a gallon in half a day.
Mm-hmm.
The issue is not drinking all day. You're about to go to bed. You're not catching up, okay, because you cannot chug. You won't be able to chug. So 6 ounces an hour is not very much, but again, being diligent, you will get half a gallon in half a day. So be diligent, guys, and practice that beforehand if you are still considering, or if you're struggling afterwards.
Let me clarify something too. So you say water, but does that include water alternatives?
Yes.
Or because I feel like some people are like, I can't just do plain water. I prefer it, with a little bit of lemon or whatever.
That's perfectly fine.
Does it also include things like Gatorade Zero, Powerade Zero,
Propel Zero? You can even use Crystal Light. Just be aware of the caffeine, okay? Sure. Especially in the beginning. Number one reason for readmission to hospital is dehydration. Caffeine is a diuretic, okay? So it increases the risk. Now, what we say, of course, if you do go somewhere else, talk to your doctor. But we say once you're hitting 64 ounces of fluid, I'm okay with you adding caffeine back in. For some, it's 1 week. For some, it's 2 months. Just know the risk.
Right.
Okay, you don't want to go to the hospital for a cup of coffee. All right.
And my protein drinks are also included in that. So if I'm doing a ready to drink Premier or ready to drink Ensure,
or even if you add water to powder, you can count that water that
Nice.
you use towards your hydration as well.
Beautiful. Cool.
Next questions.
I want to know, for you guys, do you both have a support system, and who is that? Did you tell everybody about your surgery or not? There's a lot of people that want to keep it private, which, please, that is your MO, totally understandable. Nick, who is your support system?
My support system is my husband. He literally, I came home and I was like, I'm having surgery, and he was like, all right, what day do I need to take off work? That was it. No questions,
Nick's husband's name is Nick.
Yes,
I
my
love
husband's
it.
name is also Nick.
We love the Nicks.
But yeah, so literally, he set alarms every hour after surgery, literally making sure I was up, doing everything I needed to do. Continues to be my support system for everything. So, I think having that person with you to be your support system is definitely something you need. I'm at that weird point where if someone asks me if I had surgery, I will gladly tell you every single experience I have, but I don't necessarily openly tell every single person I encounter that, why didn't you finish your plate? I'm just not hungry. I don't necessarily feel like I need to explain myself to every single person. I think that some people feel like they have to.
Sure.
And I think that's something that we kind of have to learn. I think you kind of mentioned, do you tell everyone? I didn't finish my plate, and somebody's like, they were upset with me, and I was like, all right, listen. I was like, let's sit down and have
That's happened?
conversation. Yeah, that's happened. And I'm like, okay, this is why I did not.
Oh,
and kind of explaining that. So, but it is one of those things where if you have someone who can support you and help you through those things. That's kind of the saving grace. So.
Was it almost like a fence that they made the food and it's like, was it not delicious?
I was at a restaurant of all things.
Oh,
I went out to eat. I'm like, I'm sorry. Now I don't even care if I don't finish my plate. Like the waitress was literally mad at me. I was like,
wow.
They took it personally.
So they took it personally.
Nick says he doesn't tell everybody in the world, but I do, because I put Nick on all of our social media right now. He's on our Facebook cover photo. He's on the website, so it's like fine. I'll shout out on the rooftops for you, Nick.
That's A-okay with me.
I have a before and after with me and Nick also.
Yes.
Ooh, we'll post it on the video.
I love that picture because we were at Eagle Point, Utah. From pre-op, and then when we went again after he was down 100 pounds. So I gotta share that picture with you guys. It is awesome.
Amazing. How about you, Vanessa? Tell us about your support system.
My support system is my immediate family. I have 2 sisters and 4 brothers that are amazing. My mom, she is my number one supporter. But I think the one that I lean the most on is my sister Kea. She and I are always together. We work out together, and
is she older or younger?
She's younger. She's 2 years younger than I am. Okay. And growing up, she was always my best friend. We roll dogs. So when I wanted to have surgery, I did have a deep conversation with her. She just wanted to make sure that I was going to be safe. She was like, what is the mortality rates, the complications? What do we need to be aware of? How are we going to prepare? So she definitely has been with me every step of the journey. And she was actually my companion for surgery as well. So she walked with me, she knocked on my back, and she was the most amazing person. And to this day, she still sends me text messages, what's your water intake? Did you remember to eat today? Because the ghrelin is out of my system, so I don't get hungry naturally. So sometimes I forget, going about my day. So she'll send me text messages saying, hey sis, did you eat something? And she's the best.
Aww, that's awesome. Beautiful.
Have you had any encounters like Nick to where
with sharing my story with surgery? So when I first decided to have surgery, I wasn't sure if I wanted to share my story, if I wanted to make it public. I think it was coming from a place of fear because I didn't want the naysayers. I just didn't want to have those uncomfortable conversations. It's my business, it's my body, and I know that this is right for me, so I don't have to justify myself or make you understand when it has nothing to do with you. This is about me. And then I was talking to actually one of our other fellow Blossom employees, Lori, who is one of my best friends, and she said, your story and your perception in this journey is very unique, and you could help other people. And not only could you educate them, but you could help somebody who is leaning towards it, and it could literally change the trajectory of their lives, and that is powerful. So when she said that, I was like, that makes sense. So I decided to post about it about a week after I had the surgery. And now I'm very vocal online about what I did and who I work for and the journey that I'm going on.
I see your comments in those groups.
Yes,
Vanessa.
all the comments.
I love it. You mentioned a couple things about your sister and she being your companion, and I wanted to mention 2 things. Mm-hmm. She was asking stats about complications and wanted to be right there with you in the research process. You can find a lot of that information on our website in the FAQs. And then one other thing I do want to mention for folks who are thinking about surgery, or you're going to be the companion of someone who's having surgery, go to blossombariatrics.com/after surgery. You can watch some really good videos on there about your discharge instructions, what to expect in the first 24 hours, what kind of pain and nausea management regimen am I going to be on. So not only if you're the patient, but share it with your companion, that person that's going to be joining you, because it's important that they know what you're going through, what's normal, what's not, what to be on the lookout for. And if you don't have a companion, we have a service that we can offer you. We do offer a little service called Companion Care. You can talk to your coordinator when you do call. Just wanted to mention those 2 things that are helpful for companions.
Perfect. We'll add that to the description as well. So if you want to check it out. Anything else you want to add about that?
No, not for now. I think we'll kind of come back to your guys' more of your experience and some takeaways, but I want to focus now more on your guys' role here at Blossom, if that's okay.
Yes.
So Vanessa, she is usually, you fill something out online, she's going to be one of the 4 amazing ladies that will call you back and walk you through the qualification process. Let's talk a little bit about what the qualification process is, how it's different than your traditional bariatric surgery route. where you go in for a consultation because you're really qualifying somebody right there in about 15 minutes over the phone.
Yes.
Tell us about that process.
So when you are doing your research and you come across the best website, blossom.com, to fill out your form, your information is sent to me and I gather everything that you provided me with, and we get you on the phone and we qualify you right then and there. We're asking your demographic information. We'll educate you about the insurance process and how uniquely we work with health insurance. We're going to qualify you medically to make sure that outpatient surgery is safe for you. And then we're going to educate you about the specific program that we have to offer to ensure that it's a good fit for both parties.
Yeah.
Yes, very simple, and it's not a lengthy process. It's a quick phone call, as opposed to waiting weeks to go into an appointment and take time out of your day.
Yeah.
You can do it from the comfort of your own home.
You can even do it right there on our website too if you want to prefer to be emailed the qualifying questions and see if you qualify. Nick, tell us about the actual process. Okay, so now I'm booked. It sounds great. I qualify. I pick my surgery date, or what happens at that moment, and then all the way through the visit here and then back home.
Sure. So, I mean, essentially, after you speak with a trusted advisor like Vanessa, you're going to be assigned a client care coordinator. We have about 8 client care coordinators that are on the phones helping everybody out. So they're going to go ahead, they're going to walk you through that whole process. They're going to be your best friend through that whole time. They're going to send you all of your paperwork. They're going to make sure that you have all of your dates in line. They're going to make sure that you have everything kind of squared away for yourself prior to your arrival. You're going to get access to our Blossom dashboard, which is a huge amount of knowledge there for you. So that's going to be a lot of videos, a lot of information on that for you. So you can go ahead and check that out. That's probably one of the best aspects that we've recently added into our process for you guys to look at. And it kind of gives you, what do I still have to do? About a month before surgery, you're going to get a call from one of our medical assistants. The medical assistant's going to go over all your medical history with you. They're going to make sure that you're okay and they don't have any extra questions for you prior to your arrival. You're going to sign now is going to be your best friend, because that's our electronic platform where you sign all your paperwork. So after everything is all set up in our system, you're going to get picked up from the airport from one of our third-party partners. That's Captain, right?
Yep.
There we go.
That's good.
They're going to pick you up. They're going to take you to one of our partner hotels, and the next day you're going to be picked up by one of our 6 drivers that we have that picks you up from the hotel to come and meet with Blossom. Your initial consult is going to be pretty extensive. You're going to meet with a coordinator who's going to go over all of your appointment times. They're going to make sure you don't have any concerns for the week that you're here. You're going to meet with one of our medical assistants who's going to do your lab work. You're going to meet with Alex, your nutritionist, when you're here. There you go. And then you're going to go do a stress echo, and you're going to meet with the surgeon. So your first day is jam-packed full of stuff. You're here for about 3-4 hours. So that's kind of that day 1. Would you like me to go into day 2 now?
Let's do it.
Yeah, all right.
Yeah.
So day 2 is EGD day. So that's when you go to our surgical center. You're going to get all your pre-op stuff done. They're going to place your long-term IV. It's not as bad as I made it seem when I talked about it earlier. Like
Nick
I said,
passed out watching somebody get it done. I was like, Nick, come on.
It is so not that bad.
It's not.
I think watching it is much different than having it done.
We get numbed up in that area and everything.
Yes,
Our nurses
yes.
are amazing. So
Our nurses are absolutely wonderful. 100%. I had one on one arm putting it in and the other pinching my other arm, so I wasn't.
That's awesome.
Because that's me. You'll go back for your EGD. You are asleep for your EGD, so don't worry about that. A lot of people, that's actually probably the number one question we get about the EGD. Am I awake? No.
What is the EGD, by the way, for those who don't know?
EGD is esophageal-gastroduodenoscopy. EGD for short, obviously.
Yes.
So that's a camera where we go down the throat. We take some pictures of your esophagus, your stomach, and your small intestine. As you tell everybody on the phone, it's essentially us just making sure the doctor's prepared for surgery the next day. We check for herniations, gastritis, anything like that, so we have the proper tools for surgery day.
Nice.
Lovely.
You're a little under anesthesia for till about noon, 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and then usually you feel okay. Day 3 is your surgery day, so that's when you go to the surgical center, you get picked up again. This is the day you've been waiting for, right? You scheduled everything, you're like, let's go. You're going to get to the surgical center. Again, similar process to EGD day. Pre-op, talk to the nurses, make sure you don't have any questions. You go back into this OR. Like I said, I think I told you guys, I went out 10:48, 11:46, I was awake. So an hour of entire time of me being in the OR is about average. So after you're up and you're feeling okay, the nurses are going to pound on your back, which your companions will pale in comparison, let me tell you, because it is much better from the nurses there. They'll make sure you're feeling all right, help you get a lot of that gas pain out, and you go back to our hotel. Once you're at the hotel, like we had mentioned, Vanessa said that we have the medical assistant come into the room for Blossom Aid. That's where you're going to get those IV fluids. That's usually when you start having a little bit of questions, you kind of, and they'll refer you back to your resources. Like Catherine said, the blossombariatrics.com/after surgery for all those videos and things like that to watch so your companion's prepared. And then you're up and walking around. Honestly, every hour on the hour, you get up, you walk around, you do your laps around the hotel room, you wave at the people that were at the surgery center with you that day.
I love that they all know each other. They see each other in the halls. It's like this camaraderie amongst them. It's so cool.
You're all in your matching outfits.
Yes.
So that's kind of how you know where your peeps are at.
Yeah.
And then day 4 is your IV therapy appointment. So pretty similar to Blossom Aid, except you come to our facility for that procedure to be done. So we go ahead, we get those IV fluids, we'll check on your incisions, make sure you're feeling okay. And then once you're done with your IV fluids, we'll go ahead and we'll remove that long-term IV from your arm, and you are good to go.
Nice.
And then you can go home the next day, right? We require you to stay one more night, and then you go home on day 5. That's generally how it works, right?
That is correct, yes. We do want you to stay here day of IV therapy. We want to make sure that you're still doing okay. Obviously, that way if you have any questions in that first 48 hours after surgery, you are still in Las Vegas with us.
So one of the more frequent questions that I get is, can I fly back? How's that gas pain? Am I still walking every 2 hours for those next few days? Mm-hmm. What do you tell them?
I mean, I'm going to tell you exactly what I tell everybody else. It's still, yes, you are up every hour, okay? You were walking around up and down those aisles. If you're like, don't want people to be like, why is this person walking around? Just hop in the bathroom real quick and stand there for 10 seconds, then hop out, walk back to your seat. For those people that have a longer flight, that's definitely very important for you to do. If you have a layover, obviously that's going to be perfect on the way home, because that way you can actually walk around the airport for a little bit too. That does help mitigate that gas pain. Yeah. We do give you some compression socks that are actually battery operated, so those will continue to squeeze if you do happen to fall asleep on the plane. That's not a problem at all. So
yeah, and a lot of people ask that, is it safe to fly after surgery? Can I do this? Can I drive however many hours? We do have a video about that, so I'll drop that in the description below so you guys can hear what Dr. Appel has to say about that.
I love it.
Cool. That's a nice overview, Nick.
Yeah. So
Nick,
also I wanted to
done
add...
this before.
Yeah, I've done this before, exactly. I did want to add, speaking to your client coordinator, leading up to surgery and before you get here, you do have continued support. You do have continued support afterwards in terms of emailing and calling. If you are lost in any way, let's give you a map, right?
Yeah, we do offer so many resources. So after surgery and even leading up to, we want you to use that Bariatrics app. We really want you to be able to track your food, your fluids, your activity. Because if you get stuck, of course, there's these normal stalls that we have found. That's part of it. I think sometimes people think, I just get surgery, the weight just falls off, and I don't have to do much of anything. This is not the easy way out, but we do offer the tools. So use that Bariatrics app. Barry Boss is another really awesome resource we have, and then we do have a private and exclusive Facebook support group, which currently right now sits at about 3,000 members. And I just love you all. If you guys are in the group right now, thank you guys for being so positive and supportive.
Yes.
And I love seeing people help each other. I've seen some folks have lifelong friendships in there, meet each other in person for the first time. So make sure you're using the resources that we provide. And please don't ever hesitate to call us if you're experiencing anything of concern.
Absolutely. Even if you are 2 weeks post-op or 2 years post-op, we are always here for you. The support system is there.
Absolutely.
That's right.
I love that. I love our family.
Me too.
Yes.
Vanessa, what do you feel like is the number one most asked question for people that you talk to on the phones, or if it's a couple of questions?
The number one most asked question is, how much weight are you supposed to lose? Ooh. And I always tell patients that every single human being is different, but they can definitely expect to lose about 50% to 75% of their excess body fat within those first 6 to 12 months. And there's a culmination of factors that come into play when it comes to losing weight, like how overweight are you, how tall are you a man or a woman, how old are you? There's so many things that come into play, so everyone is different, so that's a very loaded question, but
age,
Yeah.
activity,
Yeah.
what your metabolic rate is.
Compliance to the program.
Yes.
yeah, just like Alex says, compliance is the science. So making sure
That's
that
right.
you are using your tools. We all know the journey to weight loss is not linear. So rely on your resources, make
good.
those changes, be super compliant.
That's good.
And we help you along the way. Just remember, the sleeve itself is a tool.
Yeah.
It's not an absolute solution. You still have to work at it. You know, it just helps you along the way.
Yes.
What would you say, Nick, to somebody considering weight loss surgery?
I think I would say kind of what we've mentioned this entire time. It's going to be a couple things. It's going to be do your research, right? You need to know what you're essentially getting yourself into. You need to be prepared for when you're out here. And once you after surgery. So I think we do a great job of providing those resources. And I know I said I had two things, but that second thing just went right out my mind.
Maybe,
So,
talk it. It's a personal decision.
Yeah.
Talk it over with the people who are going to be alongside this with you and make sure it's the right decision for you. We really want people to do research before they even pick up the phone to call us. They can use our website for research. There's a ton of forums out there. Facebook groups are a slippery slope, I will tell you what, because it seems like I just see all the negative stuff on there.
Yeah.
But Vanessa, what would you tell somebody considering weight loss surgery?
What I would tell them is I would actually ask them a question. Are they ready to make this change? Do they truly feel that they are ready? Because there is huge lifestyle changes. There's mental changes that are going to come into play. So ask yourself if you are ready to take this path, because everything that you've done before to get to this point is not going to work moving forward in the journey to weight loss surgery, especially with the Blossom program. So ask yourself, really, are you prepared? Are you ready? Are you willing? As long as the answer is yes to those questions, let's do it.
What would you tell somebody, Alex? If you just saw somebody on the street and they say, I know you work for Blossom, I've been considering, should I do it?
Yeah, I would actually go with that same. I'm all about mindset. You know that a lot of what we talk about on this podcast is mindset as well, and that's what I would ask. Are you ready to make the sacrifice? Why? And what are your struggles? And is this going to be the best fit for that? Okay, so these are the changes that you're going to have to make. Are you ready to make those sacrifices? And yeah, if the answer is yes, then why not? And is it difficult? That's going to be very personal as well.
Yeah.
For some, it makes it infinitely easier. But what is the difficult part? Is it going to be the fact that you have to go and see your, 15 cousins every weekend, and they're going to be having family meals, Vanessa's Hawaiian, right? We got the
Samoan,
same
yeah.
Samoan, and we have all the same thing in the in my family. If you're gonna see any of the family members, it's gonna be all the food. So is that gonna be your struggle, and are you gonna be able to have those conversations or make that sacrifice? And although I haven't had the surgery, I've gone through pretty much all the sacrifice that we suggest as an athlete, as a bodybuilder, and even taking the calories to that extremely lows, I know exactly what it is to have those experiences and the mental struggle, and to go to the bar and have somebody say, why not? Why just not one? What's going on? Just one. It's not such a
So much like, Vanessa, that is such a small plate. I'm like, oh yeah, remember I had surgery, and they're like, oh yeah, can you have this? And then now they're always checking. So I feel like they're either
focused on what you're
super
doing.
focused on everything that you're doing, or like trying to be supportive, and they're like, oh, put the cake away. It's like, that doesn't bother me anymore.
It doesn't
It's
bother.
okay.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It's okay.
It's like, this is my lifestyle that I've chosen, that I'm not trying to put on you, and don't feel bad about it either. But also what happens later on is that all those people who gave you crap are saying, damn, I'm sorry I was such an a-hole for doing that, because you look awesome, you look great, and how do you do it? How do you do it?
What's your
So that's
secret?
why I say you just have to kind of walk through that. And it for me, my push and my recommendation is always going to be mindset first, okay? Because we're going to face the same struggles physically no matter what. And not only that's going to be harder, because when you restrict yourself, that is when the universe decides to give you the best invitations, okay? So it's going to be even harder.
Powerful.
What was and what has been the most challenging part out of this entire process over the past 5 months for you?
The most challenging part for me has been the mental aspect and making sure that my mind and my body are aligned. I definitely went through a lot of hormonal changes, losing weight so rapidly in such a short amount of time, and I thought that I was mentally prepared. I thought that I had the fortitude that I was looking for and that I needed to be successful, and I was very, very wrong. And when I finally realized that I needed help, I did seek help from my support system within the Blossom family and within my own family, and I participate in Bariatrics coaching. It has been eons of amazing support with Tabitha Johnson and with everyone here for sure. I now am a lot mentally stronger today than I was 3 months ago. Like, they are two totally different Vanessas, even 6 months ago when I first started the journey. But the mental aspect has definitely been hard because the hormones are coming back and there are things that you want to do that you can't do. We just had summer whiz by, and I've had birthdays that whiz by, just like Alex mentioned. There is a feast in the Samoan household anytime there's a celebration. Like, hey, the sun is shining, let's do the pig. I feel like awful lava chicken. Like, let's get some ribs in there too. The potato salad, everything was everywhere. Furikake chicken. I even made that post-op and I could not touch it.
She made it for us.
I made it for the office
and
she
didn't eat it.
I couldn't even test the sauce. I was like, Kea, is that right? She's like, oh, so you need ginger. I'm like, perfect. Let's get that in there. So making sure that mental aspect.
It was delicious.
As long as you guys enjoyed it, that's fine. So, yeah, making sure that you are mentally strong is key.
Yeah, that's huge.
Mm-hmm.
Nick, how about you? What do you feel like has been the most challenging part? And again, you're farther out post-op, and have the challenges changed over time?
I think for sure the challenges have changed for me. I think after the first year, that was kind of when I got to that point where I was really low weight. I was at my lowest. I basically lost half my body weight. When you think about it, I was 360, I was 185. I lost half of my body weight. So I think at that point when I was like, okay, I need to start, I need to put a little bit back on. I need to go into maintenance. And I was like, Alex, what do I do? And he's like, well, and you sit down, you have to look at the good carbs, you have to look at everything. So I think for me, after that maintenance point coming in, not falling back into consistent old habits. You'll have your off days, but at the same time, you have to make sure that you're consistent with the program and going, back to basics. Everyone who says they have a stall or they're having a problem, we say, do pre-op diet again, 2 protein shakes and a lean meal, and see how that helps. And that usually always gets you back to where you need to be and helps center you. And you remember, why'd you do this? So you go back and you scroll through your phone and I go back to 2017 and I'm like, all right, this is why I did this. Got it. Understood. And then kind of just remembering that for yourself and doing that. So I'd say the biggest struggle for me would be maintaining, but also not falling back into those old bad habits.
Yeah, we're talking about 2 years versus, 20,
28
plus years. So of course old habits can and will die hard, especially with those routines or, triggers and just Thanksgiving and Christmas. These are things that happen once a year that's going to bring back so many memories that can come flooding that happen every single year too. So yes, manage that and don't fall into bad habits, old habits.
Absolutely.
What else? How's your guys' activity? You exercise?
Yes, sir. I am in the gym.
Yes.
I love working out. Being active is amazing. I'm probably working out 5 days a week, and then I do go to the gym 6 days a week, but that 6 days is just sauna and steam room, and then lots and lots of yoga. So I do yoga once a week, and then I do weights, cardio. Weights are my favorite. They are the actual best, so I'm very, very active now.
Stress reliever too.
Huge stress reliever. Lots of endorphins. I did not believe anybody when they said that exercise gave them endorphins. I was like, you are absolutely lying to my face. And then I started working out, and I was like, oh, the euphoria is real.
Yeah, especially when you start hitting, more numbers.
Exactly.
And, squatting and pressing, all those things. That's awesome.
Up to 90 pounds on the squat press. Woo! Super excited about that.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yes.
Nick, how's your activity been?
It's good. I mean, consistently when I first started right after surgery, it was very like super active, similar to Vanessa, like in the gym. And then, you know, the world shut down in 2020. So like,
Right.
It stopped for
you know,
everybody.
it stopped for everybody. I have made a habit to get back. I go about 3 to 4 times a day. Actually, right after surgery, I got my dog, and that's when I was like, all right, we're gonna run together. We're gonna do all this, and she keeps me going. So every morning we're up at 5 in the morning, we go for our runs before work. So
Catching the
that's always
Pokemon,
been
all the
catching
things.
Pokemon at the park, all the things.
Gotta catch them all. That's right. I love it. Good. Did you have any other questions, Catherine?
I kind of just want to wrap it up with you guys saying, how can people find us? If there's somebody listening to this podcast right now and they're maybe ready to make that next step, how can they reach us?
I would say first and foremost, give us a call. We got some girls on the phone right now ready to go. 855-256-7766.
That's it.
So
Yes, blossom.com. You can fill out a form. You can send us a direct message on our social media. We have a public Facebook page for prospects, and then we are also on Instagram. So there's lots of avenues for you to reach out to us.
Yes.
And read those reviews. Look and see what people have experienced, like legitimate reviews. There's so many of them. People have called us like the Disneyland of bariatrics. The efficiency is the Chick-fil-A of the bariatrics. So it's good. And there's a lot of people out there willing to tell their story and let you know that our experience is different. It's one of a kind. I mean, you walk through the doors and it's just, I mean, even from the moment you get picked up at the airport, you meet all of our drivers and they just have that awesome, calming demeanor about them, and they're so knowledgeable. When you walk in the door, we just, I'm partial, but we have a heck of a team.
We do have a heck of a team, and everybody here is awesome. Blossom.
Yes, sir.
We are blossom-tastic indeed.
yeah, we are.
So, to wrap things up, if there's one or two things that you want to tell the listeners right now, if you didn't hear anything in this entire podcast, you should hear this. What is that?
If you are to take away two things from me and my journey, do your research and make sure that this is what is right for you. This isn't something you do for anyone else besides yourself. So as long as those two things are good, and also compliance is a science. Alex says that all the time. It's stuck with me. I say this if I'm talking to you on the phone. I say it to myself as an affirmation. Compliance is the science.
I love it. Nick?
I think I'm going to go back to what we said earlier is, you know, you just listen to us tell you our journey, and I think in remembering that every single person is different, no one experience is the same, so please, you get into those Facebook groups, you see people, what they're losing, don't compare yourself to everybody else because you're the only you, so...
Banger.
I love it.
I love that.
I love it. I'm going to put it on a t-shirt. But yeah, so that's it. Anything else? All right, we'll put everything in the description on the links, and of course you can always reach out, give us a call, shoot us an email. It was a pleasure speaking with you guys, seeing you, and of course the video now you can check us out on YouTube. So I will see you guys in the next. Peace.
This was another episode of the Blossom Podcast. For more motivation and future episodes with Alex, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss out on any life-changing moments.